November 13th, 1895, London, 8:47 a.m. You were awakened by the feeling of the sunlight against your eyelids, the sounds of birds chirping outside the window slowly bringing you to your senses. Your body was just wishing to close your eyes again and go back to sleep, but you had to get up. The past few days have been stressful and scary around you. A lot of deaths happening around town as of late. Recently, you find your own beloved cat dead on the sidewalk on your way to work at the press. Most people brush it aside as just a normal thing. Maybe mean old Miss Willow's dog got it. You know how mean that old thing can be, your friend had told you. It didn't die naturally, and you know that, let alone, she had always been an inside cat, so how did she get outside in the first place? With news of that new serial killer going around town, and even in the newspapers, you made a trip down to the sheriff's office, explaining how you thought that maybe your cat was a threat, that you were next on the serial killer's list. I don't think that's like the first thing I would think of if my cat dies. Like, legit, why would I think a serial killer is going after my cat and then me? Like, that's a really weird modus operandi. They brushed your concern off. Even me! I'm brushing your concern off, me! Pushing you aside as a regular paranoid person and sent you on home after explaining how there were real people dying out there. You sighed and rolled out of bed, getting dressed in some normal housewear. It wasn't like many people were going out these days with these deaths going around, and you didn't work today, fortunately. You walk into the living room, where the gramophone was set against the wall, before crouching down and grabbing a record from under the cabinet, before placing it down, and the sound of jazz slowly fills the room. The soft sound of the music slowly calms you down. The silence before had been eerie and unsettling, almost like you could hear everything in the house. People could call you paranoid or crazy, all they want, but you're playing it safe. Walking over to the window, you pulled the lace curtain shut and let the darkness envelop your room. It didn't block out all sunlight, but at least it kept people from looking in. Maybe some tea would help clear your mind. You still have those books from the library you've been meaning to finish, but haven't had the time for. You went upstairs to the kitchen and started to prepare some tea. Hey, I was reading! Hello? Hello? EpyksLion, are you home? You heard a masculine-sounding voice call out. It had a smooth and gentle tone to it as they spoke. You weren't expecting any visitors. Bloody hell. Your family hardly came by as of late. You assume because of everything happening around town. You hesitantly walked over to the front door, being cautious and taking quiet steps. What if it was a serial killer, waiting for you to open the door and stab you in the heart the moment they saw you? Would the police care? Would anyone come looking for you? This is not Oshinoko! And that is not a serial killer, that was just straight up a stalker, my dude! You forced those thoughts out of your head with a shaky deep breath before grasping the door handle and opening it. Standing there was a man who looked to be in his 20s, his hair dark brown and had a trench coat and gloves on. He held a notepad and a pen in his hands, as he smiled softly and looked down at you. Hello, EpyksLion. I'm Detective Castiel. You came down to the station with a few concerns, so I came down here to check it out. You gave him a slightly confused look, but you felt a bit of hope at the same time. Oh, yeah. The sheriff said they had bigger concerns, so they weren't bothering with my case. Why did they change their minds? Well, you see, I was in the back of the station when I heard you speaking to the sheriff. I know he pushed you aside and called you paranoid, but something about you and your cat sparked my interest, and I wanted to help you out. I know it must be hard to lose a pet. You nodded your head slightly in agreement to his words as you stared up at him for a bit. He was taller than you, so he had to look down at you and seemed quite sophisticated. You've never seen him around town, but there was always a chance he just moved in, perhaps. When he noticed you staring, he only smiled softly in response. It didn't seem like a threat. Maybe he was really just here to talk. Yeah, I'm inviting him in. You want to come inside? Castiel smiled at your words and nodded his head. If you don't mind, it would be my pleasure, my dear. He moved to the side and held the door open for him to come inside as he did so. Did? Did. God, it sounds like I'm calling him Diddy. You watched closely as he walked inside the house, his feet light and graceful as he walked. You noticed how he seemed to know his way around the house without asking, but he brushed it off. Cassiel glanced over at the calendar for a few moments before softly humming, and his smile grew a little bit. He went to the kitchen and started to make tea. 2 cups this time for the detective as he sat down in the living room. It took a while, but Cassiel didn't seem to complain when he finally came out of the kitchen area and handed him a cup of tea before sitting across from him. Thank you very much for the tea, my dear. It's greatly appreciated. I'm sure you've got the morbs about all this, so I'll be sure to try and not to take too much of your time. The morbs? You nodded your head, folding your hands on your lap, listening to him speak. Now, can you tell me more on why you came to the station? What events conspired that day? He took a deep breath as he recalled the morning. Well, I got up and made my morning tea as everyone does, I'm sure. I work at the newspaper, and so I got dressed and ready. I had everything with me and started to leave after locking everything up. Never noticed Clementine wasn't there. But when I left the house and started walking, I saw the poor thing laying dead on the sidewalk right in front of my house. You shifted in your seat about, trying to get comfortable as he hummed softly, staring intently at you as if hanging on to every word you said. You stayed quiet for a few moments, making sure you were done speaking for now and nodded. And you said it wasn't by natural causes. You nodded your head. I'm sure of it. Those people say it was Miss Willow's dog, but that's pure balderdash. He gave you a sympathetic smile and nodded his head before turning away, writing a few things on his notepad before looking back up at you. I understand, dear, and trust that I will get to the bottom of it. You feel safe? I couldn't help but notice how hesitant you seemed about opening the door for me. You thought about it for a moment. It really felt like everything was out to get you as of late. Like everything and everyone was out to get you. You were about to respond when Cassiel interrupted you. Also, your cat died! That's the only thing that happened! Why are you so paranoid? Yeah, I could stay here with you for a bit. Make sure that nasty serial killer doesn't get you next. I'll give you space to just stick around. Does that sound alright, darling? Is everyone in this town insane? Why would a single cat be the reason why a serial killer will be coming after you? And the fact that it was your cat that died. And did you even pay attention to how the cat died? It might not have been a serial killer. It might have been something else entirely. Oh, wait, what? Wait, what did he say? wait, I didn't check the logs. Wait, what did he say? You could stay. Okay, he wants to stick around. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say yes. That sounds alright. If it wouldn't be too much of a burden to you, Detective. I can only imagine how busy it is with cases and everything going on around here. There really is no problem, darling. After all, if anything were to happen to you, then we'd have even more on our plate, along with losing the most beautiful / handsome person in town. A faint blush crept up your cheeks from the compliment. Not many people in town seem to like you for whatever judgy reason they had. Probably because of how paranoid you are. But dude, your cat died. That is it. That doesn't mean a serial killer is coming after you. You always kept your head up and focused on your own life, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt any less. Thank you to Cassiel. Just call me Cassiel, love. You nodded your head a little in agreement to his words as you watched him push his glasses up a bit. It wasn't common to see anyone with such eyes before, and you couldn't help but stare. The green and blue irises seemed to glow. They were beautiful in your opinion, but you knew some people saw things such as that as curses. Cassiel stared back at you when he noticed your staring, and he smiled a bit wider. No, you like my eyes, love. I can see the very same thing for you as well. You gave him a smile and a soft giggle. God, for yourself always being so gloomy, you sure were a giggle mug right now? I've never seen you around here. Did you just move in or did you have any family? I guess you could say I'm not from around here. My grandparents live a bit down the street. Oh, really? I'll visit them and thank them for raising such a gentleman. I thought we established no one in this town likes you! Wait, hello? Castiel chuckled a bit at your words, his eyes closing for a little. You were just splendid, my Rose. Speaking of family, where's Rosemary? Your face fell into one of confusion at his words and looked around. Nobody else was there, and he never mentioned anybody else coming to help. Who? Our daughter in the future? Hey, what? My detective? Hello? He smiled like it was the most normal thing to say in the world. You stared at him for a little bit, trying to figure out if he might have been just pulling your leg. What? Remember how I told you I'm not from around here? That's why. I'm a time traveler, my Rose. Ain't no way. No, my God. Is everyone in this town Delulu? Is everyone in this town just delusional? I need to know this. Might as well just say it aloud since Eddie made that mix-up, huh? You stare at him in shock, not believing, but he also seemed so intelligent you had to question. Why are you here then? I think it's better if I don't explain that right now. We've had such a pleasant conversation so far after all. He let out a shaky sigh and looked out at the floor. The room smutted for a moment before you were suddenly hit with a wave of tiredness. Looking back up, you saw Castiel now standing close to you, his golden pocket watch in hand as he looked around, making sure he was in the right time. He saw how tired you were suddenly, and helped you up, gently holding onto your upper arm as he walked you to your bedroom. And I'm just letting this happen? Why am I just letting this happen? Shh. Everything's okay. You look like you need to lay down. Your legs felt like jelly underneath, and he soon switched over to carrying you bridal style as he laid gently you down onto the bed once you reached your bedroom. You could barely keep your eyes open as he gently stroked your hair before placing his hand over your eyes as you drifted off. You could barely make out the sound of a pocket watch going backwards as he mumbled something. November 13th, 1895, London, 8:47 a.m. I'm sorry, what? So, I guess this is a time loop sort of situation? What if I told him to wait? Do you mind if I come in? Oh, yeah, come in. You watched closely as he walked inside the house, his feet light and graceful as he walked. You noticed how he seemed to know his way around without asking, but brushed it off. And we're gonna skip ahead. Yeah, detective, I really don't want to let you in my house. I mean, you're already in my house, even though I said I didn't want you around. But I'm not gonna let you stay any longer, so no. I don't think I should... I could stay with you for a bit. Make sure that nasty serial killer doesn't get you next. I'll give you some space and stick around. Does that sound alright, darling? No. What? I can save you a bit. Make sure that nasty serial killer doesn't get you next. I'll give you space and just stick around. Does that sound alright, darling? No. Why? You know that doesn't really spook me out, my dude. Come on, darling. I won't hurt you. No. My Rose, why are you being like this? Shh, don't speak. He fell silent at his words, shrinking back onto the sofa as he continued to speak, his gentle tone never once leaving. You know how much work I've done just to get here? How many times I've been here? A hint of irritation came through his voice, but he took a deep breath and smiled at you. This is all for you. Truly, it is. I came back here almost monthly now, making sure everything is perfect. I'm sure you put it together by now. You're a smart one. Castiel smiled and stood up, reaching into his chest pocket and pulling out a golden watch, rubbing it with his thumb. Sometimes I come here to relive our first meeting at times, change the future at times. A lot of things have changed since my first visit. The hell are you talking about? Castiel looked at you, humming softly and tilting his head a little to the side as he studied you for a few moments. I'm not from here, my Rose. I guess you could say I'm from the future, but at the same time, I'm not. I've traveled all across time that sometimes even I forget my own origins. He sighed softly, taking a sip of the tea you so graciously gave him. The first time I ever did time travel was for my own selfish desires. You got married to the wrong person. They treated you horribly. You poor thing. I had to watch as you fell into the arms of another, and your petals wilted. I couldn't let fate go on like that. I had to change it. I went back in time, got rid of him, and you fell right into my arms. Perfectly. You were about to open your mouth and say something, but he interrupted you, almost like he already knew what you were going to say. How I got this ability is none of your concern, my Rose. But this time was for something else. You see, in the future, you and I are married, but you still carry the burdens of your past. I didn't want that for you. I only want to see you happy, my Rose. You told me this town always treated you terribly. I took care of all of them. Everyone who even looked at you with disgust. And then, all I had to do was meet you again in this timeline. So you killed my cat? Is that what I'm hearing here? You killed my cat for looking at me like weird? Is that what I'm hearing? But of course, Castiel gave a soft chuckle. It sounded gentle, but now eerie, unlike all the other times you heard it. Things can't be that easy sometimes. It seems my actions made you too paranoid, so I guess I'll just have to redo. Wait, none of what you say just made sense. Castiel looked back at the pocket watch, adjusting something at the time as the hands on the small handheld clock went backwards. I'm well aware of that, my dear. But don't worry. Soon, you won't remember any of this after I change the past. I love you, my Rose. November 13th, 1895, London, 8:47 a.m. And it just loops back. Anyway, that was 1895. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to play this game for yourselves, the link to the game will be in the description below. And yeah, the game just loops indefinitely from here. And this game was made for this year's Murder Boy Mayhem Jam, where they had about 3 days to actually complete their games. I will be playing some of the other entries that came out from this jam, so hey, stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.